think a lot of these videos that are pretending to potentially say that they create product for a brand when in fact they don't, it was giving very propaganda for me. Just the level, the amount of content that was coming out, the unified message behind that content, and also the targeting of that content to be like Western brands from Chinese manufacturers. And it's not news that China creates a lot of product for the world. Hello everyone, my name is Thor and welcome back to Anthropology. Thank you for joining me in today's video. I have an exciting one for you. This is going to be in relation to the videos of the Chinese manufacturers exposing the luxury brands and the general consumer brands that are manufactured in China, showing and portraying that they cost often significantly less than they do, and looking to cut out the brand entirely and sell directly to consumers. So this went live on TikTok, sort of went viral on TikTok, in a way that made me question a lot of the behind the scenes, the coordination of it maybe, around all these manufacturers in China detailing how they produce for different brands, and that essentially your favorite, a primary example they utilized was Lululemon. Your favorite Lululemon is produced in these factories for maybe $5. Why would you spend $100 when you can buy it for $5? Same for Louis Vuitton, Zara, Hugo Boss, Hermes even got wrapped up in this. So I wanted to talk about that. Excuse my voice, I am recovering from a cold. I just got back from my honeymoon, and let me tell you, you guys, that 14-hour flight from Sydney wrecked me. I got all the germs. I didn't get any sleep. I'm paying for it now, but I figured I wanted to hop on this video trend. I've talked about this actually a lot on this channel in multiple videos, actually dating back all the way to 2022. So this is nothing new on my channel. I have discussed this before. Primarily one of the main sources that's come up recently is Dana Thomas. She wrote the book How Luxury Lost Its Luster in 2008. And I referenced that a lot back in the day. And also it's recently come up in relation to when Dior was found to utilize sweatshop-like factories in Italy to produce their bags for like $30. So this is a whole new wave of that. But essentially, I wanted to come on here and talk about this recent wave, sort of what brought it about, what I think about it, if I think it's legitimate, and generally some of the brands that have responded to it. So if you don't have a TikTok, you may be wondering what I'm talking about. But essentially, last week, it seems in relation to Trump's tariffs on the world, specifically China, and that sort of trade war there, a lot of Chinese manufacturers released videos detailing the fact that they produce goods for a variety of houses, from streetwear brands like Nike all the way up to luxury houses like Hermes. They produce the goods, for example, an $1,800 Hermes bag is start to finish, and then Hermes sells it for $30,000. Now, a lot of brands have come out against this, saying that these are not manufacturers that they utilize. This is fake videos. And I would agree, because in my degree, I studied anthropology, hence the name of this. We talk a lot about media literacy and propaganda. And it was giving propaganda to me in the sense that it was a unified message from a variety of different sources that were being very powerfully amplified on TikTok. And it seemed like I couldn't get away from it. It was like the DH girlies were liberated and they were feeling justified. And while I think maybe there could be some truth to the fact that these Chinese manufacturers or these manufacturing centers in China do create a lot of product for these other brands that then sell them at a markup, ultimately what is missing is the fact that they may not create the entirety of the product within one factory, or they may create bits and pieces of it. They don't own the intellectual property behind it. They may utilize different fabrics or like similar type fabrics, because I do work for Lululemon. I'm not speaking on behalf of Lululemon, so I'm just speaking as a consumer and what I know about consumption. But Lululemon makes a lot of their fabrics in-house. They are designed, they are proprietary fabrics. They are not like a standard cotton that you can just like buy off the street and then like make something with it. They are heavily designed and researched fabrics that are proprietary and only utilized by Lululemon. So obviously when they send them to a factory, these factories will then have access to the print, they'll have access to the fabric, but Lululemon utilizes factories all over the world to create different aspects of the clothing. Like if you look at the jackets, there would be a lot of different components around, like the zipper pulls, around the different stitching on the inside. And those are all created in different places, and then they are manufactured together in one place. And Lululemon did come out with a statement saying that they only utilized 2 vendors in China, and none of the vendors that were being portrayed as showing Lululemon like clothing were actually, in fact, manufacturers and vendors of the brand. And a lot of companies produce vendor lists that you can see that to verify if it's true or if it's not true. And essentially what these manufacturers are doing is they are creating like product. It is not exactly the same product, but they are creating like product and then they're selling it, claiming it to be the real thing, sort of like it fell off the back of the truck, wink, wink, if you know what I'm saying. And I think the same is for Louis Vuitton, the same for Hermes. And to have a maiden stamp, as Dana Thomas says, it can just be the finishing touches, but also what I've seen and what I've come to realize in terms of the whole made in Canada, made in US situation that's recently come about here, more than 50% of the product actually has to be created in the country that is being designated made in. This could just be for Canada and North America, but essentially, you cannot claim something to be made in a country if it is not, in fact, at least assembled or made in that country. And I think a lot of these vendors need to be really careful how they go about portraying themselves as creating product for these brands and then trying to cut out the brand essentially and take their intellectual property, their prints, their designs, and then sell it directly to the consumer at a significantly reduced cost. Because what goes into the price of something is not just the cost of manufacturing, it's also the cost of research, it's also the cost of supply chain, it's also the cost of packaging, of selling it. If you buy something in a store, they have to pay for the store itself, they have to pay for the employees. So there's a lot that goes into the price of a product outside of just the manufacturing cost. Because sure, no one is under the impression that a t-shirt costs more than a few dollars to make. This is not news. This is not anything that has like really been like uncovered or unearthed. And it's like, obviously, it doesn't cost 30 grand to make a Birkin bag. Like, just raw material cost, that makes no sense. But that's never been the case. With these luxury brands, we know that it's all branding, essentially, at the end of the day. You pay for the brand, you pay for the exclusivity, you pay for the craftsmanship in some regards, absolutely. But ultimately, what you're buying is the status symbol itself, and especially when it comes to Hermes. The Croc ones, even, it's like the raw material cost is not $100,000, and the craftsmanship cost is not $100,000, but it's the affluence that comes with it, or the perceived affluence that comes with purchasing this bag and wearing this bag and who you are with this bag, etc. So it's never been the case about raw material costs, and I think what was really concerning to me is that a lot of people on TikTok were like, see, I told you DHgate was real. But at the end of the day, it's not. It's counterfeit product. It is fakes. It is imitation of these products. They are not confirmed licensed products of the brand itself. They are imitations of said brand. And I think some of these videos really do indicate that by saying these are Lululemon like product, like similar material. But at the end of the day, it may not perform the same. And what is stopping you from buying leggings from Walmart? Like, what I also don't understand is a lot of these people, they want the brand name. They want the brand recognition of wearing the product from Louis Vuitton, from Lululemon, from Hermes, but they don't want to pay the cost associated with it. They just want the external validation that comes with wearing the product, which is why they then turn to places like DHgate, all these other sites listed by these manufacturers, because they want the social status that comes with these goods, but they don't want to or cannot pay the price to do it, so they imitate it. And this is something that was raised in Dana Thomas's book. It comes down to ego at the end of the day and wanting to have that egocentric view where you are that person that wears Louis Vuitton. But at the end of the day, it's a masquerade, because you are not that person that bought it from the store. You are the person that bought it from DHgate. And at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with purchasing a product just because it's a product. You can buy a bag, you can have whatever on it, as long as it serves a function, it doesn't matter. But I do think the societal and sort of the cognition behind it around branding and brand power, because you could buy a bag from an unknown brand and it would serve the same purpose, potentially have the similar construction, same quality as a brand like Hermes. Say it's a hand-stitched bag. It may be exactly the same. The thing that you're paying for is the brand name. And I think what gets me is like when people buy counterfeits, it's like you don't know who at the end is benefiting from that product. It could go into crime rings. Like, you don't know. It could go into human trafficking. A lot of fakes and counterfeits are funneled. The money is funneled back into those sort of like criminal groups. Whereas if you're buying it from a brand, sure, it may go to a billionaire, but there is more transparency there and there's more of an authentic experience. Now, some people may call me like a corporate bootlicker. I don't know. But essentially, that's my take on it. I feel like, why would you spend money on a counterfeit product when you could just buy a good product from another brand at the end of the day? I think a lot of these videos that are pretending to potentially say that they create product for a brand when in fact they don't, it was giving very propaganda for me. Just the level of the amount of content that was coming out, the unified message behind that content, and also the targeting of that content to be like Western brands from Chinese manufacturers. And it's not news that China creates a lot of product for the world. A lot of companies moved their manufacturing there, but they do have to be careful because after this, maybe these manufacturing centers will be hit with lawsuits around brand defamation, around general intellectual property mishaps, or like forgery. So that's my take. What do you all think about this? I think you have to be quite careful with media literacy and really understand like who is creating the content that you're watching and what is the general message behind it, and just be able to discern a little bit better. Because yeah, seeing a lot of these videos are like in response to them just being like, oh my god, see, I told you, and then they hold up something that looks like visibly fake. I'm like, okay, but like that's like not it, you know? So that's my video. Thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys.